What's going on, guys? So tonight I have a 6th generation 160 gigabyte iPod. So the deal with this guy is a customer purchased my 256 gigabyte upgrade on my website, on my eBay listing. Actually, I should say I don't actually have a real website. I should get one up, but anyways, I just have an eBay listing for now. So the 256 gigabyte iPod upgrade is only compatible with the 5th gen 30 gigabyte, 60 gigabyte, 80 gigabyte, and the 7th generation 160 gigabyte. So now if you get into the 6th generation 160 gigabyte or the 7th gen 120 gigabyte, it's not going to work. The 6th gen 160 and actually the 6th gen 80 and the 7th gen 120 can only be upgraded to a max of 128 gigabytes. Now for this one, this has never made any sense to me. So since this is a 6th gen 160 gigabyte, you would think that the max it could go would be 160, but it doesn't matter. I don't understand why. But if I drop, say, a 256 gigabyte drive in this thing, it would still only show 128. That's it. So on my sales page for the 256 gigabyte upgrade, I have it listed showing what models are acceptable, not acceptable, but will work with this upgrade. And the buyer didn't look at that, and I didn't do my due diligence. Normally I do, and I didn't for some reason, and it happens sometimes. So he sent me a 6th gen, and I told him, hey, sorry, bud, I can't upgrade it to 256. It's gonna have to be 128, or if you want to pay a little bit extra, I can swap out the motherboard with a 7th gen motherboard that will work and allow it to be upgraded to 256. He said no, he didn't want to spend the extra money, and he would be fine with the 128. So I got the iPod, I plugged it into AC power to verify that everything worked. I like to check, make sure, stupid little things work before I do any type of work, like check the aux port, check, the hard drive, the scroll wheel, the click wheel, just pretty much anything and everything that I possibly can check, because I have found myself in a situation before where I've just dove right into the upgrade and then I get everything closed back up and something doesn't work. Did I break something? Did it come broken? I don't know. But that's why I always check before I try anything, so I know for a fact that if I made a mistake, then that's on me. But if it's not working when it arrives, then they need to pay for that repair if they want to do so. So I plugged this iPod into power, and I let it sit there for about a half hour, and I cannot get past the Apple screen. I messaged the owner back, and he said, yeah, that's the issue that he'd been seeing as well. So let's tear into this thing. He was told it was a hard drive issue. I went to the diagnostic screen, which is, I'll just do it real quick, which is menu plus center until the iPod reboots. Then immediately press and hold left in center. You'll get this white screen like that. Okay, it's kind of washed out, I apologize. So menu for manual test, down to I/O, hard drive, HD smart data. And normally when a hard drive fails, it will fail trying to open the device, which here it does not. We have 0 realix and we have 1 pinning sector. So I mean, really, for all intents and purposes, this hard drive from just this diagnostic screen seems fine to me. The owner was told by some other repair people that the hard drive is the culprit. I don't know if I quite believe that, but let's take it apart and see what we can find. Okay, so as many iPods before this one, need to wedge our spudger here into the side of the casing, and we are going to pry outwards, releasing the clips. Okay, So we got the casing off. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know exactly what I'm going to say next. You need to fight the urge to just open this thing like a book. If you do so, you have the battery cable that runs right about here. And it is connected to this battery clip right here. And if you just open it like a book, you could actually tear the battery connector off and you're going to have a bad day. You would need to have some soldering skills, or you would need to replace the motherboard. So let's get our spudger in here to hold the clip down, and let's pull up on the battery cable. Now we're released, we're good to go. And that battery is definitely swollen. I will talk to the customer to see if they want to replace that. So what I am going to do, I'm going to pull this ribbon cable out of here. And as you can see, it's the style for the 6th gen 160 gigabyte. I am going to put in a style for the 7th gen, and the same thing that was used for like the 5th gen, and like the 30, the 60, and the 80 gigabyte, and then the 6th gen 80 gigabyte, 7th gen 120, and 7th gen 160. This is the only model that gets this different motherboard, or no, I'm sorry, hard drive cable. So here is the flash upgrade that I was going to do for him. Like I said, he wanted to do the 256, but it's not compatible. I'm going to have to order him a 128 because I'm not just going to, you know, plop a 256 in here and just leave it as is. So, but for testing purposes, just to see if we can get to something besides the Apple logo screen, I'm just going to throw this in here real quick, and we're going to see what happens. Okay. Got the drive we're going to try. I also have the other ribbon cable that I'm going to put in. Turn it this way just to make it a little bit easier. Zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. I apologize for my fat hands in the way. There we go. Okay, so that is in. Let's throw this in real quick. And then we're just going to use our spudger, and we're going to force the cable into the adapter here, and then we're going to close the clip. That looks good. Okay, so let's see if we can get past the Apple logo screen. We should see some type of a restore screen here. I'm not going to plug the battery back in. Even though the battery is not attached, we should still get something on the screen. Okay, let's see what we got. Yep, okay. So, yeah, maybe looking like it was a hard drive problem, even though the diagnostic screen showed that, I mean, it wasn't. So, okay, now let's plug the battery back in because we will need it to restore. The iPod will not get sufficient power from a USB port to power it to restore it. So let me pop this battery clip off real quick. Okay, hold the battery cable down into the clip and press down on the clip. Okay, we already have a restore page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this guy into iTunes, and I'm going to restore it real quick and make sure everything is functioning normally. So I will be right back with you. Okay, so I was able to, obviously as you can see, I was able to get this thing past the Apple screen. I synced music to it. The scroll wheel works, all the buttons work, aux port works, both ears work, the hold switch works. Pretty much it. So let me just show you here that I did in fact put a 256 gigabyte drive into this iPod, and it's only going to show 128, 127 free. I don't understand why it does that. You think that it would hit at least 160 because originally it has a 160 gigabyte drive in it. That's, somebody has an answer out there of why that is, let me know. I mean, obviously it has to do something with iTunes firmware. If I were to load this thing up with Rockbox, I would be able to utilize the full space of my hard drive. So I'm guessing that's the answer. Except for, unfortunately, for some reason, the 6th gen 160 gigabyte is just a royal pain in the butt to get going with Rockbox. So, with that said, I think this iPod is fixed and ready to go for the most part, minus the fact that now I have to order a 128 gigabyte drive. I wanted to make sure that everything was kosher with this iPod first before I actually spent the money ordering it. I'm just going to save this 256 gigabyte drive for the next person who needs it. But like I said, I just wanted to make sure everything was good, so I will order the drive, the new drive, the 128 drive. Once I get it, I will pop that in. I don't really think you guys need to stick around or me to extend this video to see that, since I have done this in the past and really just did it with a different drive just now, so a little unnecessary. So once again, I think here's another one of these things back to life. Y'all have a good night. Later.